What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to go over a new instance with the addition of 15.1. We recently got a new fun MVP instance known as Charleston In Distress. The goal of this instance is basically to kill a giant robot and get these sweet weapons that it drops. That's my goal, but there are some other separate goals to it, which will have you collect the Charleston Components. From the instance, you can get 5 Charleston Components per run. One of them is from a turn-in quest that you get inside of the instance. The 3 are from completing the instance itself, and the last one can be dropped from Charleston. As you will see, you first need to go deep into Juperos. So once you get into Juperos, you want to walk to the bottom right corner. I am walking the incorrect way there on my painkiller genetic. And actually, I wanted to go over this guide on genetic because I haven't played genetic in a while, and I like doing guides with genetic specifically, but this is way better on GX, and you can go back to the stream where I first did this. It took me a long time there, but now that I have the hang of it, you'll see it's a lot faster. But GX is definitely the way to go to save consumables, and also it's a lot faster to kill the MVP. So you can see where I've been walking. You go into deep Juperos. There are nice little yellow markers on your mini-map which will guide you exactly where you need to go, or you can just follow me as I go in this video. This is a huge town, which is Varus City. You just want to go to the bottom center. It's a little bit towards the left. This machine down here is where you will actually enter the instance. You would need Charleston's permission first, so you must talk to her. She'll give you a side quest that'll change the dialogue of the entrance, and you will open and enter. Like all new instances, it loads extremely fast, so it is a quick start. You will trigger most of the NPCs just by coming in within proximity of them in this instance. So what you need to do is just walk straight down to Charleston to trigger her dialogue. I believe at this moment I walked away for a second. There you go. There's the dialogue. Once you walk down from Charleston, these spawns will come along. There's absolutely no need at this point to kill any mobs. So you would just want to run to these 4 spots, if you look at the minimap in the top right, and kill these security turrets as you go along. As you kill them, you'll get a little warp that pops up to enter the next spot. Every time that little graphic goes off, that means the mobs are spawning in front of you. No need to kill them. You'll see that there are little adorable, almost FM radio looking computer chip guys. Those are called steps, and those will be what you get the turn-in quest to kill, but not at this point. You take down the second tower, and mind you that the step is a looter creature, so beware. If something sweet drops, the step will eat it. And I actually think that this happens in this video. Third one is the longest one. Just requires you to go down a long hallway filled with these, so I bring plenty of anodynes. Even though I have painkiller, you take so many hits that painkiller will never suffice, and you'll have to pop some anodynes, speed your way down to the turret, take them out, and be on your way. At this point, the only reason to kill the things is because they're just blocking your way, and it's really annoying. They're not very health intensive, they're easy to kill, but they do actually do quite a bit of damage if you're not wearing a deviling or if you don't have painkiller like I do, which is why this is the one genetic where the instance is pretty forgiving on. The only downside to the painkiller genetic is that acid bomb does quite a bit less damage, and the Charleston 3 MVP, I don't even know if it's an MVP. It's surely a boss protocol monster, but you don't get the MVP pop-up when he dies, so we will not consider him an MVP. But he has quite a bit of health, and it really does make a difference. Okay, the 4th gate has been disarmed, and we are on our way back to where we started. Back to Charleston 1. She will want us to go into the lab in the center, which If you haven't noticed by now, this map is horrible to navigate, so that's why I'm, at this point, trying to figure out exactly where I'm supposed to go. Missed it by just a little bit. There we go. Down the steps, some more monsters that you don't need to kill. There's the laboratory from the backside, which you can get to by going down 2 more sets of stairs to the right. Go through the portal, and that set of stairs right there will be the one. And right here you'll see New Oz down there. And this instance actually has a couple people from the newer instances making cameos. And here we are at the entrance to the laboratory. In the laboratory you will have 3 people, Charleston 1, Charleston 2. Sorry for going through the chats really quick. This is one of those awesome instances where you don't have to choose the right answer and you can just spam through the chats. They're upset. There's a little storyline with this about these Charlestons being somewhat human, somewhat robot, trying to kind of figure out their identity. Dr. V is in control of them. Prematurely leave the room because this is where you actually want to get the quest. Back here, the main computer is where you will talk to get the 50-step quest. Now, one thing I don't really take advantage of is that there's always a ton of steps spawning within the laboratory itself, so always be sure to clear them out. Pretty sure that I'm totally forgetting about the steps right now. The thing that Charleston gave me to do is kill the kick steps, which are screwing with the power generators. So you have to kill, it's the lock step actually. The kick step is what comes next. So there are more than 3 kick steps on this floor, but you actually only have to kill 3 to get to the next part. There's one here, there's one here, and there's one down here, which are the 3 that I will always go after, though there are various kick steps throughout this area. So those, definitely not as necessary to kill all of them. Just kill the 3 easiest ones, and I like to keep it easy with which 3 to kill, because those are the exact same areas you will need to go for the next part, where you actually kill the kick steps. I probably keep mixing up the terms kick step and lock step, but the lock step comes first, kick step comes second. Kick step has the exact same graphic as the turret security tower things that we killed in the first part of the instance. My cat, also interested in the instance. And we're coming upon the second lock step that we need to kill. Definitely the same as most creatures in this instance, not very health intensive, and them themselves are actually not too damaging. Always killing the kicks, or not the kick steps, the regular steps along the way. And you will see that they also drop explosive powders, which you're going to want to pick up at least one of on your way, just because you will need that to actually get into the MVP portion. So I'll go ahead and grab 1, 2, so I don't need to worry about grabbing one on my next run. Back down the steps after we have killed them, you will see that the announcements come up after you actually complete the task, saying mic check, come back to the laboratory, and keep killing those steps. Talk to Charleston 1. She will tell you that you need to go kill these things that are taking over the generators, which are the kick steps. go back to the exact same areas on the map. I have a really bad habit of forgetting to go up the second set of steps. I'll always go back down to that corner and be like, wait a minute. I have to go up more. And I believe this was actually only the third time I ran the instance. Kinda had the hang of navigating it, so it's really only awful to figure out the first time. Sure, if you watch this video, it will be a lot easier. Back down the steps. Going the wrong way one more time, but at least we're getting a step kill out of it. Confusion becomes clarity, and reminds me to go back around. And you'll see it's not really too difficult to get the 50 kill counts, so they definitely made that side quest appropriate for the instance. It's a nice thing that actually breaks up these monotonous tasks of just walking all the way around this gigantic level to turn on these 3 generators. And one thing that you may not have actually noticed on that last kill of the kickstep is that you don't actually necessarily need to kill the kickstep. It's just the actual generator that you're turning on this time. So in the first time, you want to actually kill the lock steps to set off the quest, but this part you're actually just turning on the generators. That one I turned it on before even killing it, but for good measure, we will kill it. We'll zip our way back to the laboratory, making sure to kill every step we come in contact with. Since I know that the turn-in portion is coming up, I went ahead and just got the rest of the steps that I needed. Only to come back to a room filled with steps. So if you only have a few left, just wait until you're in the lab, kill them, talk to the main computer, and collect your Charleston component. Another proximity one, you actually have to walk in front of Dr. V to set off that chat. Charleston 1 and 2 will then warp to the center of the room, where you will again have another dialogue before some monsters start to spawn. Monsters respawn for about a minute, progressively getting harder. It's going to be the standard robots that we saw earlier, the H-type, and then it will become kick steps and lock steps. Haven't found a need to use full chemical protection here. Not sure if I mentioned that earlier, but it does not seem that anything is breaking. Apologize for not having the gear out this whole time, but this is the same gear that's been on the whole time, which is a plus 12 Heartwing hairband, which I really like for the SP reduction. My Keel Black Devil's Mask, because that's what always stays on, even though it's almost irrelevant when it comes to cart cannon. Jin Marin Balloon for the int, dex, magic, and attack. My plus 12 hero trade mail, of course. Resistant, Valk Shield, standard, all around. I have on the Fallen Angel Wing of Shooter since I'm on the Painkiller genetic, but you also bring Deviant. There's Powered Dex Boots. Liberation Thanatos Hammer does not help with the mobs, but it definitely helps with the MVP. And I like the HP and SP Leech. I barely ever need SP on this character with the combination of the hammer and the Heartwing. This is another proximity which on my first, and I think my second run as well, I sat like right here, and I was trying to click on them, they weren't making any noise. I'm like, okay, am I waiting for some timer or something? And then I walked right up to this little cell, and that's what actually set it off. So be wary of the proximity triggers. Charleston 3 is first mentioned here, who we will find in the core. This is what we need the last explosive powder for. You will see that they have found 99 on their own and only need the 1 for you to turn in. At first, when I saw they needed 100, I was like, are you kidding me? I have to find 100 of those. That is the worst turn-in ever. Quickly relieved by, I've already got 99. You just bring 1 adventurer, so that was pretty awesome. More dialogue as we wait for Charleston 3 to actually spawn the huge robot, who I will be sure to include the drop rates of in this video. The important one that I'm going for is the robot arm, which drops at a 1% chance, which will be a great genetic and Sura weapon. But he also drops a tornado axe, which is an amazing mech weapon, which makes tornado axe, or axe tornado, a viable leveling skill. So now we wait. For Charleston, I have on the boss shield, and definitely not a deviant because he does use a pretty wicked meteor storm and Lord of Vermilion. This is the real reason that genetic kind of bums me out, is because he's a 25 million health MVP, and painkiller genetic bombs for just under 300k, so it's quite bomb intensive. Use about 100 bombs to kill him. But other than that, he's really just a supply use machine. He has very high VIT, so you'll see that Fire Expansion does do slightly more than Acid Bomb, even though Fire Expansion does not have any ranged attacks or ranged modifications affecting it. It still does more damage because his VIT is so high. So I make good use of that, and I believe switch to the Evil Marching Hat to improve the Acid Bomb damage. My poor little homunculus died. But I do like to make use of the Fire Expansion to clear out the H-types that continuously spawn throughout the fight. His cast times are extremely long for Meteor Storm in Lord of Vermilion, which makes me believe that it is possible to do 1 million or some odd damage to him with Spellbreaker, like most of the new MVPs. That could be a viable killing method, but it seems that his casts are a little long in between to actually make that your main damage dealer. Could be something that'll help you, but something that you're going to kill it with entirely? Probably not. The robot arm drops at a 1% chance, and the other 2 weapons drop at a 2% chance, while 2 accessories that appear as boots drop at 5%. In my first 2 runs, I got no gear at all. This time, I made sure to pop a gum, even though I did last time as well, and the 2 boots, which are accessories, were quickly swallowed up by that step, so be sure to do a little ground control before you finish the MVP. Luckily, the steps spit them out, and I got the 2 accessories, which are Upgrade Part Booster and Supplement Part Agi. Here are some descriptions of these items. I do not play mechanic, so these are just going to be sold. Charleston 1 and 2 will now be in another dialogue again, this is when she finds out that she kind of like alludes that she may be human, but Charleston 2 or Charleston 1 is trying to convince her that she's not human, or I don't know. She's like, if you were my daughter, I would call you Forsythia. It's like, what? I'm sure if I paid full attention, this would grip my attention for, I don't know, that I wouldn't pay attention. I don't really pay attention to the storyline of Ragnarok. I hate to say it, but it's more of a game of challenges. There you go. My daughter Forsythia, I love you. Wait! Are you my mother? Beep. Yeah. Now Charleston 1's OS is like fried. She's basically stuck. Making funny noises. So now we have to run back to Dr. V. In the lab. Tons of monsters still throughout. Talk to Dr. V. Charleston will begin a dialogue. And now this part actually confuses me slightly. I thought that I messed it up, but I seem to have found myself doing this twice. Both of my genetic runs turned out the exact same way. I feel like I did not stay in this room long enough on the genetics. But once they're done talking, you can leave. Maybe. Scumbag was used in this. That's probably as vulgar as it comes in RO. So V turns his back, and I believe at that point you need to click on them to start the other dialogue. And that is what I thought was the final dialogue. For whatever reason, I felt like I needed to come back to the core, but Charleston 1 gives you the same dialogue that she did before. And the NPC that you use to exit is the NPC girl that we just walked by. Over here. Salash. And the selection that you'll want to choose is I want to leave. And I don't know if it's just that you have to say I want to leave to her twice, or whether you have to say I want to leave and then come back to talk to Dr. V. See, I'm like clicking on anything at this point. Just like, come on. What did I miss? Unnecessary, I believe. I'm almost positive that you just have to click I want to leave twice. Because now, when we say I want to leave, she gives you the option to go back. And that is what gives you the last 3 components. So, I hope you guys have a chance to check out the new instance, Charleston In Distress, and that this gives you a little bit of guidance on the insanely difficult to navigate map that's not so difficult when you think about it. So, take it easy, guys.